This is the 2025 mostly all-new Subaru Forester, and I can tell you right now, it's a pretty big leap over the previous model. This is Four Wheels and a Seat, your weekly guide to new cars in the Australian market. My name is Alex Dalrymple, and every week I review a brand new car, especially for people who might be looking to buy a new car and don't know which one to get. Don't miss an episode though, so please do hit the subscribe button down below the notification bell, and if you enjoy the video, or even if you don't, please give me a like. So the new Forester has taken on a bit of a boxier, squarer look to kind of go with existing automotive trends. Some people think it looks a little bit like a RAV4, and I kind of agree with that. Just the shape of these running lights here, they look really nice. It's a very contemporary design. We've got driving lights down the bottom there too. Some harsher plastic here, but then again, this car is designed for off-road, so you want, durable plastic that's kind of, easy to clean. On the side, the wheel arches have taken on a slightly squarer appearance than the previous model. Here in the top spec touring model, we get 19-inch alloy wheels, a couple little ventilation holes there to let a bit of extra mud out if you're going off-road. The E-Boxer badge there, because this is indeed a hybrid. Up on top, sunroof, roof rails. I really like the grey colour that this car is in. It provides a really nice contrast with this plastic here and the mudguard down the bottom there. On the back here on the D-pillar, symmetrical all-wheel drive, just to remind you that this car is indeed designed for off-road. New taillight design here, wrapping around, looks really good. Love the blacked out Subaru badge and the embossed Forester sign here on the sheet metal here on the tailgate, looks really good. Under the powered tailgate, 484 litres of storage space up to the bottom of the windowsill. Cargo cover, knock down the rear seats, you can expand that by a further 700 litres. And under the floor, nothing extra really, a little bit of extra storage space here perhaps, but the battery is under there taking up most of the room. So a good looking, practical SUV. At the top, I said that the Forester was mostly all new for 2025, and that's because the engine from the previous model has been brought over to the current model. And that's actually not a bad thing, because it's a 2.5 litre four-cylinder boxer engine, and in this case, it's bolted to an electric motor because it's a hybrid, and together they output 145 kilowatts of power and 276 newton meters of torque, which is really good. It gets along very, very nicely, and it's economic too, coming in at just 6.2 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle. And the best part about this is that this is the same engine that you'll find in the regular petrol version, but here it's just got the electric motor bolted onto it, so it gets even more power. The interior of the Forester, all new as well, and has been brought into line with other Subarus like the Outback, and I think it looks really good. The most notable difference being the split screen display in the previous model has now gone and been replaced by this big 11.6 inch touchscreen, which I actually quite like this software. It's very easy to use. It could be argued that it does look a bit like a child's iPad with big colourful icons, but the good thing about that is that it's really easy at a glance to see what you need to do, because you don't have to take your eyes off the road too long to find a particular app or setting. Wireless Apple CarPlay works in a slightly cropped version on this screen because there are some always on controls here at the button for climate control, and the home button up top, a few different trip computer displays can be shown, and there is easy access to some of the climate controls here with some physical buttons here on either side of the screen, allowing the passenger and the driver to change their temperature on the go, plus volume controls for the sound system. Speaking of sound system, there is a Harman Kardon sound system in this car. It sounds really good, makes a very nice noise indeed. The rest of the interior is pretty straightforward with wireless phone charging, USB-A, USB-C, no more CD player in the Forester. Yes, I know there will be some die-hard Subaru fans will be sad to see the demise of the CD player, but that's what happens, times move on. We've got a 12-volt outlet just down there, not a very big center console bin, but big enough. Still no head-up display on this car. Subaru is still sticking with the row of coloured LEDs that reflect off the windshield to tell you when you're drifting out of the lane, or if the car thinks you're about to collide with another car, reminding you to emergency brake. Not a big fan of that. I'd rather have a proper head-up display. The instrument cluster is all new and is now completely digital. Gone are the analog dials. Instead, we've got a very nice digital display with 3 different display modes, including a maps display that looks almost identical to one that you'd see in an Audi. The maps maps are from Apple CarPlay. I haven't tried it with Android Auto. I imagine that they would probably use different maps if you have an Android phone, but for me it's CarPlay. Steering wheel, much the same as it was before, and this is a pretty standard Subaru steering wheel. There are a lot of buttons on it, and yeah, there's quite a bit to sort of get used to using on this, as well as paddle shifters on the back, which have a decent amount of play in them. The outside of it is wrapped in leather with brown stitching, and it looks pretty good. The seats are leather and suede accented, and they're pretty comfortable. We've got full electric adjustment for the driver and front passenger with lumbar support as well. Seating position in the cabin, yeah, is really nice. Actually, I've got plenty of headroom, plenty of room all around really, and great visibility. The glass house is a very light and bright place to be because the windows are just so large. Lighter still because of the sunroof. So, you know, in terms of going on a family road trip in this car, you'd be pretty comfortable, I think. There is just so much room in the back of the Forester. I'm 190 centimeters tall behind my own seating position, and there is, you know, daylight between my knees and the seat in front of me. Yeah, really comfortable. Good amount of headroom too. Hair just touching the ceiling, but we can give that a pass, I think. We've got an armrest here with cup holders, USB-A, USB-C port, a couple of air vents, more of this nice suede sort of finish here on the door cards as well. Just adds a nice little premium feel to it. And yeah, a bit of a view there through the sunroof. So I think backseat passengers will be pretty happy back here in the Forester. So I do really like that Subaru have just added an electric motor to their existing petrol powertrain rather than doing what some manufacturers do, and that is putting a smaller petrol engine in their hybrid cars and not really getting the most of the additional power output potential that exists in a hybrid powertrain. So this car is noticeably a lot more zippy, a lot more fun to drive than the regular 2.5 litre standard petrol version of the Forester. And it just adds to the feeling that this isn't sort of a regular SUV, it's sort of a wagon on steroids a little bit. It has the look of a wagon and it drives like a wagon. But really, size-wise, I mean, it's not small. Is the Subaru Forester a turn-back car, a car so good looking that you have to turn back and look at it after you've parked it? Yeah, actually, the new one is. It's quite distinctive. Although it has that Subaru Forester shape, it's sort of, you know, quite undeniably an SUV that's based on a wagon. The front end especially looks completely different to anything else that Subaru have done before, and that I think will generate a fair amount of attention. So yeah, I'd say that it's a turn-back car. So although it still has that sort of classic wagon shape, to drive it does feel a little bit more SUV-like because, you know, we're sort of riding up reasonably high here, and the feel of the suspension, it's just perhaps a little firmer, a little more bouncy than you would perhaps otherwise expect in a passenger car. That's not to say that it's sort of, you know, overly wobbly or, you know, feels like you're going to roll through corners. It just has a slightly more sort of SUV feel to it. So we have a 6-speed gearbox. You can change gears manually, but for the life of me, unless you're going from sort of 6th down to 3rd, you're not really going to hear very much from the engine at all. It's very quiet, changes gears very quietly and very smoothly. There's a lack of theatre, perhaps. I just wish this car had a head-up display. It's the one thing that I think the interior is really missing, and it feels like it should be here. A row of coloured LEDs to show you when you're veering out of your lane or you need to make an emergency stop just isn't a replacement for a proper head-up display, and I don't know why Subaru have not put it in here. It seems like a real omission. So anecdotally speaking, Foresters have always been popular with young families. I remember when my friends started having kids, which is probably now a decade and a half ago at least. A lot of them were talking about going out and buying a Forester as a great car to have, you know, plenty of room, easy access to get kids in when they're in a baby capsule, and that's all very true. The good thing about the hybrid is that with the added electric motor, it does add a certain amount of vibrancy and excitement to the driving experience because it is just that much quicker. The only other notable omission in terms of tech is a lack of a top-down 360 view when you're parking. Would be nice to have that here, especially as this is a larger car. It would make it a little bit easier to park, but can't have it all, I guess. You really have to be careful of pedestrians when you're driving a hybrid or indeed any electric car in a car park because they are so quiet. No one who's walking along in front of you can hear you, so you've just really got to be very careful because pedestrians can suddenly step out in front of you because they have no idea you're there. I really like what Subaru have done with the all-new Forester. I think it's a vast improvement over the previous model, and despite having the wagon form factor, it's actually quite a sizable compact crossover SUV. I mean, park this next to a Range Rover Evoque and you'll see that this is actually bigger. So if you've got a family and you like to go off-road occasionally, plus you need to do all the regular commuting stuff during the week, then the Subaru Forester could be for you.